I probably had a total of 4 jobs that lasted about 2 or 3 weeks at a time in between the ages of 18 and 35.
Instead of quitting, he doubled down.
I was on my second prison term and I thought, this is going to be my life.
Adam has helped generate over 100 million in roofing sales.
My social skills were just nil, very, very little.
Launched a platform dedicated to giving second chance individuals a real path to success.
Once the light bulb clicks and the work ethic is there, you're unstoppable.
This is AI and Marketing for Home Service Pros, the show for contractors who want to grow without wasting time or money. If you're in roofing, HVAC, plumbing, or any home service business, we break down how AI and modern marketing can help you book more jobs, close more leads, and build a business that runs without babysitting every task.
Most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they quit before the light bulb turns on. Today's guest is living proof of that. My guest, Adam Tronnier, went from multiple prison sentences to living out of a PT Cruiser to knocking doors for 5 straight months without getting paid before finally landing his first $17,000 commission. Instead of quitting, he doubled down. Fast forward just a few years, and Adam has helped generate over 100 million in roofing sales, built and trained 100 plus door-to-door reps across multiple states, and created one of the strongest sales cultures in the roofing industry, and launched Redemption Blueprint, a platform dedicated to giving second chance individuals a real path to success. In this episode, we talk about why discipline beats systems every time, why most sales training actually hurts performance, how to build killers in the field without micromanaging, and why the people most companies overlook often become their top producers. If you're a contractor, sales leader, or a business owner trying to scale without losing culture, this conversation will challenge a lot of what you think you know. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? This is Mauricio Cardinal, the host here with Adam. Welcome to the show, Adam.
How are you? Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited to talk to you. We had an amazing conversation last time we spoke, and just really want to get into your story because it's very unique and very inspiring. So let's get into it. Like before we got into the contracting space, tell us about your background and what eventually led you to the roofing space.
My background was, I didn't have a career. There was no career. I probably had a total of 4 jobs that lasted about 2 or 3 weeks at a time in between the ages of 18 and 35. And my first real job was on the Florence Wildland firefighting crew inside while I was incarcerated in the Arizona Department of Corrections. And I didn't even want that job. I had thought at that time I was on my second prison term, and I thought, man, this is going to be my life. I can't stop messing up. I can't stop making bad decisions. Or not only that I can't stop, it's like I didn't want to. I didn't know a different life. And I got an opportunity on the Florence Wildland firefighting crew, and they worked me like a dog, and they worked me to death. And I don't know why I stuck around, but I stuck around, and little by little I started developing some, different character attributes, some integrity, some work ethic. I started waking up early. It took me about 1.5 years of waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and just defiant, drinking tons of coffee, trying to get my life together. And little by little, man, things started coming together, and I got out. I was released in 2021, and I thought I was going to go into the firefighting industry. And a gentleman by the name of Ronnie Allen, he was door knocking, and he was incarcerated with us a couple years before that, offered me an opportunity as a door knocker, door-to-door sales. And I said no at first, and I thought about it for 3 days, and he kept calling me and he said, "You're going to be perfect for this job." And, he talked me into me being perfect for the job. And I said, you know what? I am perfect for this job. I can do this. I just got off the Wildland firefighting crew. I could do anything. I was up for 17 hours, 24 hours a day working out in the desert. And come to find out, my first 6 months, I was absolutely horrific at it. Terrible. But the same thing, I remember looking back on the fire crew and going, I just took another step. I just woke up another morning. I just tried again, and I tried again. And come to find out, I was pretty decent at door-to-door sales. And once the fruits of my labor started pouring in, I reached back into several individuals inside the prison system and started, letting them know, hey, I found a path. A little bit after that, exactly a year after that, a gentleman named, Ronnie Allen, that had got me started in it, died of a fentanyl overdose. And there was no Ronnie anymore. And I knew I needed to take that position and fulfill that destiny of giving back and helping, and kind of the principles that I learned through getting sober in prison. And it turned out to be one of the most life-changing character development moments of my life, and still is to this day. Hired over 100 people in the industry, trained, recruited, built sales teams. We've done over $100 million in recoverable depreciation through insurance claim, roofing, and door-to-door sales in a matter of 4.5 years, and a lot of life-changing and transforming moments.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we talked last time about your background. You have a very unique background. Obviously, it's not common that a lot of people with your background succeed in the business world, right? Can you talk more about your background, like where you came from, and how'd you get into the actual space right that you're in right now?
As far as you want to know about, like, my childhood, or
no, just basic. Well, basically what we talked about last time. So you mentioned that 4 years ago you started in the contracting space, but before that you were in different prison, correctional facilities, and all that stuff.
Into the contracting space, the prison terms were, I think, very crucial for a part of the story, because as I said, in my first 6.5-year prison sentence, I go in there and I fall in line with the rules of the prison. And, you work out and you get a little prison job in there for 10 cents an hour or 50 cents an hour or whatever it is. You go home and you do, most of the time, 80% of us just go back to doing the normal thing. Manipulating, stealing, drug dealing, lying, theft, all that kind of stuff. It leads you back inside the prison system. But that second term, there was something that took place inside of me. I remember going on the wildland fire, when I was on the wildland fire crew, and they brought me on a thing called the practical, and you had to hike, like, I think they said it was 5 miles or something. And I had never done really any extreme workouts, and I didn't consider myself to be in the best of shape. And they took me out and geared me up on full gear, and I had a water pack and a tool and a helmet and long sleeves and these boots that just felt like I was walking on wood. And we got to the top of the first peak, and I was the second guy to the last to get up there, and I started crying. And I thought that I thought that I was just going to pass over and die. I couldn't go another mile. I couldn't go another foot. And they're like, hey, congratulations, you guys. Everybody grab some water and stuff. And I'm standing there, I'm crying, because it was the first time that I ever thought that I accomplished anything in my life. I usually give up. I turn the cheek, when it gets hard, or I run, and I'm continually used to failure, just constantly failure in my life. And I'm crying, and I'm just so thankful. And the fire sergeant says, yeah, get some water, guys. We have about 7 more miles to go. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, I can't do it. I think I held both crews up, the crew from Tucson and Florence, about 2 hours, but I walked out of there. I walked out by myself. I lost 3 toenails that day. My socks had been shoved down into my boots. And at that time, I knew I was capable at that moment, capable of doing anything.
And that moment really kind of changed your life, right? You would say?
100%. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what took place inside of me, but I knew at that time that I had the ability to conquer things that I typically fear.
So you started in the contracting space, and you said the first 6 months were terrible, that you weren't doing good. Why? And so they didn't fire you, right? So obviously you were good enough to not be fired, right? Like, so talk about that experience the first 6 months, and how that led you to what made you get good eventually.
Consistency, for sure. Same concept. Don't give up. But I remember I was terrified to go up to doors. I wasn't a public speaker. I never had a lot, no time with people. My whole life I had lived. We're gonna have to edit this part because I have to think about this for a second. But my whole life I removed myself from social environments. I reclused a lot. I didn't have a ton of friends. I was just out there on my own, doing my own thing, waiting to get caught on my next crime to go back to prison. And my social skills were just nil, very, very little. So when I was walking up to these doors, I was very intimidated because I didn't know what to say. At that time, there wasn't a ton of training. It was kind of sink or swim. And the training that I got was minimal. And, the fear inside me that I felt walking up to these people's doors, asking them if I could inspect their roof and trying to get them to file an insurance claim was just absurd to me. Not to mention when I did get on top of their roof, the hail damages, I didn't understand. Like, your roof's not leaking. The roof looks pretty decent to me, but I didn't understand what I was looking for in hail damage and stuff. So I had a very difficult time asking the homeowner, like, hey, are you ready to file this claim? Like, let's proceed forward and get you a brand new roof. And the first 11 contracts that I had gotten, I think 7 of them went to denial, and 4 of them were half approvals, and we didn't know how to take a half approval to a full approval at the time. So I just left them behind and kept going. I had a breakthrough up north where we had a couple good hail events, and things got a little bit easier for me and started to understand the industry.
How long did it take you to get your first approval and sale?
It was like 5 months. I had gotten sales before that, and they went negative. Both my first 2 jobs that I had built went negative. I owed the company $82 on one and $84 on the other one. They're back-to-back neighbors in a mobile home park.
Were you getting a draw?
No, I didn't take any draws. What I was doing is I would find manual labor jobs that I could do, like on Thursdays and Fridays, with a couple guys that I knew from prison that had an electrical company. And I would go dig ditches for them or go do any kind of grunt work I could find for $100, $150 a day so I could get some gas money. Fortunately, I didn't have rent owed at that time. Somebody had loaned me a PT Cruiser, and I was off and running. They paid the insurance on it. I had a couple bucks for gas money, and I was basically living on water and fumes from my gas tank in the PT Cruiser. It's a contracts and a pen.
And you're living in that PT Cruiser basically for the first...
A lot, yeah. I was probably gone 6 days a week, trying to figure it out, 5 days a week. It was probably one of the worst times of my life. Knowing that I could go somewhere else and get a job for $22 an hour or $25 or $30 an hour, maybe in the industry of firefighting, maybe in the behavioral health industry, working with ex-drug addicts or whatever. And I knew that was there, and there were so many times that were pressed upon me that, like, you just need to go do this. Everybody was kind of betting against me, like, hey, you need to go do this. This is not working. And a gentleman that I had started with named Pierce Baker, he's the owner of Craft Built now, he started at the same time as me. It wasn't really working for him either. And then October came around. I started in March, October came around, and then it hit. I got my first $17,000 paycheck. And at that time, it was like such a relief, stress-free. I was relieved. I knew I could do it, and I had a ton of jobs in the pipeline at that time that were coming behind, and the light bulb came on, and I started seeing the potential.
What made you stick around? Because a lot of people, I'm sure you've trained enough people by now, do not stick around after repeated failure. What made you stick around? Because you had at that time you said you had other opportunities. What made you stick around?
Those other opportunities, I knew those other opportunities weren't going to be able to afford me a house, weren't going to be able to afford me a lifestyle that I wanted to live, weren't going to be able to afford me private insurance, weren't going to be able to afford me a new truck. It was going to be good enough. And I watched so many people succeed around me. There was just dozens and dozens of people succeeding. And I thought, why am I not getting this? I don't get it. Like, what is happening with me? Why am I so different? And I just needed to figure some stuff out. But Pierce Baker was the catalyst of that. And he said, hey, I'll leave with you in October if this doesn't work. And we just stuck it out a little bit longer. And finally the paychecks came through. But it's so scary. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. It's a brand new environment. We already have 2 strikes against us. I'm a felon. There's not a lot of opportunity out there for me to work, or that I knew of. And I wanted it. I wanted to be in that group. I wanted to be in that community of people that were succeeding. And I just needed to stick around a little bit longer. And I was ready to give up. I was ready to give up. And that story resonates with a lot of people, especially brand new guys coming on, if they're coming out of prison or wherever they're coming from. I understand the stress. I understand the overwhelmingness. It's very easy to tell my story, to guide them through that, to have empathy of where they're coming from, and we can usually talk through it.
You're basically learning, about the roofing industry, but also learning the most important skill, which is sales. Because you said you didn't have a sales role before. This was your first really sales position. And sales, as you know, is probably one of the most important skills you'll learn in business. So you're building that skill. You're basically learning how to how to sell, and how to sell door to door, right? How to build relationships, how to persuade. All those different things are extremely important. And you stuck it out, and now they're seeing that. We're going to talk more about the actual what's happened in the last 5 years. But that's amazing. That's an amazing part of your story, because a lot of people don't really know that part. And I think a lot of people, you've seen this, do not stick around, right? They don't stick around long enough to actually reap the benefits, and you did it, right? Once that started happening, right? Once you started getting some sales, what happened next after that? Or like what ended up happening next after you got some sales, and your sales? What ended up happening next? And how did it feel after that?
It felt good. It felt really good. My confidence started raising. My self-esteem in that space got a little bit higher. And I started believing in myself and understanding, like, I can do this. I tried so many different methods. The first method was, hi, I'm Adam Tronnier with Mission Restoration. We have an A+ Better Business Bureau rated, and we have a 4.3 Google review. Do you mind if I inspect your roof? Like, that was my pitch. And everybody says, talk about a pitch, talk about, what's your pitch, and these sales tactics and all this stuff. And for me, once I started to understand the product that we were selling, what was going to be installed on the roof, the process of the roof coming off and getting put back on, negotiating with the insurance carriers here and there, the sale became a lot easier. I don't look at it as like a sale. It's kind of a necessity that the homeowner could utilize to their benefit to save a ton of cash and get a brand new product put on their roof with a great warranty. And once I became well diversed in all that knowledge, the sales came easy. I think a lot of people spend too much time on, okay, we have to identify what kind of person it is, and then we have to work with that character, and we have to become this character. And I see so much training going on about let's become sales experts, and I know who I'm dealing with. I don't want to become a guy that walks around trying to identify everybody and losing myself of who I am. I want to come with the facts, what I can, what I can't do, and what I'm willing to do, and what you need. And either you want it or you don't. That's really the bottom line. And move on. The million follow-ups and the this and the that. I've built numerous multi-million-dollar producers through that training platform. Not training in so much of like sales and what we need to do and how to follow up and systems and platforms and processes and this and that and sales rabbit and the list goes on, and people get they digest so much information about technology and computers, and we need to follow up with this guy, and I look at their sales numbers, and it's just not working. Hitting every single door, every single neighborhood, whether it's outside of the storm a little bit or directly inside of the storm, checking every roof you possibly can. The more people we touch, the better connections we're going to have.
So you talked about this last time. Execution is more important than actual systems. Can you talk more about that?
100%. Yep, 100%. While the time spent, we definitely need systems and processes, right? But the simpler we can keep it, I think the more benefits we get from it. And I don't want to put anybody down, because there's different processes for different people, right? And I see a lot of people on Facebook and a lot of people on social media, and we call them like sales gurus, who have the best tactics and the best this and the best that, and selling platforms that are supposed to make people multi-millions of dollars. By the time these trainings go on and these people get these systems and processes down, all they've done is added 10 more things to their daily activity, which should just be door knocking. You get back in your car, you got these systems and processes. Now you type this one in and you go back, and I don't have any recorded data for myself except my team's numbers, except my own personal numbers. And I put that up against guys that are running systems and processes, and you need to do this and you need to do that, and you missed a step and you have to do this and you have to do that. I see guys selling $600,000-$700,000 a year, and I see these guys selling $2 million. What's the difference? Just work. Just go out there and work. Stop worrying about what kind of character this guy is, whether, stop worrying about his personality. Either he wants the product or she, or they don't. Either they want the help or they don't. If I spend my time following up with 15 people that I talked to yesterday, that means I missed 40 more doors today.
Yeah. What? So the first year in business after you were there, how long did it take you to get into management? Like how did that look like?
It was about 9 months, 10 months. And that's another thing with systems and processes. People, I have a team of 100 plus guys. We have an 80% retention rate. We hire over 30 guys a year. Have several managers directly underneath me that just do a phenomenal job of hiring, training, recruiting as well. And we don't have, our systems and processes are, let's get you in the truck, let's give you everything I possibly can, sales orientated, identifying damage, figuring out an insurance claim, and then we'll move to the next steps down the road. I've watched multiple people in different areas, different companies do things like, hey, let's bring you in, let's teach you Xactimate. How are you going to teach somebody Xactimate when they don't know what a roof is? What's the point of learning Xactimate if you can't sell a roof? What's the point of learning Xactimate if you're not willing to knock 50 doors a day? Hey, let's teach you all the building materials and code and so forth and so on. That's all irrelevant stuff. That stuff comes down the road, 6, 8, 10 months later. We first need to focus on just knocking doors, work ethic, sales, identifying damage, and how to figure out how to close the deal.
Yeah, and you recommend at least 50 doors a day or 100 doors? What is typically what you recommend?
50 doors a day for sure. 50 touches. A lot of times, depending on where you're at, if you're in a small town, there's a lot of retired people. If you're in, Phoenix, Arizona, where my hometown is, there's a lot of people that are at work. Prime knocking hours are from 2 to 7. But if you can get 30 people to the door and talk to them and have a conversation with them, you're probably going to close one, I would imagine.
And how do you balance holding people accountable with that? Because sometimes you say that and they don't do it, without becoming overly rigid or micromanaging.
We lay down like goals in the beginning of the year. What do you want? What's your why? What drives you? Why do you want to be a part of the team? What makes you want to come into door-to-door sales? And I'm pretty upfront and honest about it. Like, hey, it's not for everybody. I can't make everybody a superstar. That's up to them. But I can show you the path. Do you want to buy a brand new truck, or you want to get in door-to-door sales because of the community of people that you're around? Do you want to be a part of the largest organically grown team in the United States? So what is your why behind that? When we start understanding what people's why are, then we hold them accountable to the why. Understand like, hey, I would like to purchase a house in 2 years. I would like to have $60,000 to $100,000 in my bank account saved over the course of the next 2 years. I would like to manage a big team. I would like to have some purpose and motivation behind what I'm doing, as opposed to just being another component and saying, I want to be a door-to-door salesman. Everybody that's a door-to-door salesman thinks that they're the best or wants to be the best. We're tons of A-type personality, tons of ego-driven, in the sales field, and everyone thinks that they're the best in some way, shape, or form and wants to compete against the next guy. But how about we compete against you? What do we want to do for you? What's good enough for you? And is good enough, right? How do we build your character? How do we develop you into a good human being? I don't want to just teach you how door-to-door sales, but if I can contribute in your everyday life and your activities that you do and how you live your personal life, or teach you how to build credit and purchase your first vehicle with you, or take you on some trips for the first time, that's awesome for me, right? Like that's probably the why behind it. When I say like, what's our why? Like, I want to see the guys succeed. I want to see them purchase their first homes. I want to help them build a team. I want to boost them up.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how do you build that? You kind of mentioned a a little bit what you're talking about, but how do you build that strong sales culture? Because your Pro West is known for being a very strong sales culture with a good culture. How do you build that out from the ground up?
The manager's why. If I say, hey, I want to invest in you, I want to take the time with you, then that's what I do. I have to hold true to my end of the bargain as well. My why needs to be shown every single day, calling the guys, talking to them. A lot of people in the door-to-door, it's such a stressful job. I don't care what anybody says. At least it is when you're running a $100 million team. But it's a stressful job. It's a stressful environment. Guys are trying to make sales. They're running their jobs. And at Pro West, One Solutions, we take our job from start to finish, from the door knock to the build to the insurance negotiations, all the way through. Whatever's going on in your home life or your personal life, that has an effect on your job life. And whatever's going on in your job life has an effect on your personal life. So it's more of, it's not just coaching door-to-door sales. It's trying to be mentored myself by the guys and also being able to mentor the guys. That's very, very important. Like, I don't want to know just what your sales numbers are. I want to know how you're doing as a human, how you're doing in your relationships, what's going on the side. Are you paying off your credit? Are you trying to build your credit? What's your home life look like? How can we balance some things? How can we just, as a whole, outside of just sales and door to door, what can we do for you as a team, as a culture, to build you up as a person? That's the most important part. Because guys can come to work and just feel like they're at a workplace. Showing up to birthday parties, throwing birthday parties, having barbecues, taking the guys to the lake, taking them out to the dunes. And that's been going on for 4+ years now with us, since I started. That's very important, because we can clock out at 5 and I know nothing about you, and maybe you're going home and maybe you're in an abusive relationship. Maybe your kids are getting ready to take. Maybe you don't have food on the table. And if I don't care about any of that kind of stuff, dude, then of course you're going to fail.
And how many people do you have on your team right now?
Oh, man, we just lost like 12, but I think we hired 23. I want to say there's like 115 on the group chat.
Wow, so 115 people. So that's a really big organization. It's probably one of the biggest that I've seen. And it's all across the country, right? It's not only in Arizona, it's in other places as well.
Drew has a couple guys out in Florida. So yeah, we have a couple guys out in Florida. We have some guys in Wichita, Kansas right now. We have a guy in Colorado. We had some guys in Wyoming. But those are mostly guys. 2 of them are home base in Colorado, or one of them's home base in Colorado, 2 of them home base in Florida. The rest are from Arizona, but they will jump on an airplane and go storm chase. That's a cool thing about One Solutions, Pro West, Interstate Roofing, Danny Boy Builders, all these companies that are held by PE, opportunities to just land wherever the hail hit and go start knocking doors and get those contracts on the board.
Awesome. We talked about this last time. How do you build trust between the field and the office so reps don't feel like they're fighting the system?
It takes a collective. Everybody has to be pushing towards the same goal. It's very difficult. Respect. There's a lot of ego driven in the sales, like I discussed before, and guys want things on their time immediately right now. The people in the office are on a salary base, or they're W-2 employees. They're getting paid by the hour. We're getting paid on what we can produce, what we can bring to the table. And it's like, I need it now. We got to have this file set over. Understanding I don't want to say anything on live television, that's going to scrutinize anybody. So everybody needs to be incentivized. I think everybody needs to be incentivized. Pro West, Interstate, Danny Boys, everybody is incentivized. You don't come to work and get some guy, as a billing department, and they're doing all the negotiations with the insurance carrier. You as a project manager, you need to have the information to the billing department. You need to have, all your ducks in a row. If you could look at your billing department as the attorney in your case, and you need to give them all the proper documentation to get your case to the finish line, to where you win, it's going to go that much better. If you're a project manager that's just taking some photos of a job, you upload 20, 30 photos and you move on about your way, and you don't talk about what kind of shingle it is, or you don't have your pitch gauge, you don't have your shingle measurements, you don't have any of the information that they really need inside that, it bottlenecks. So the billing department is incentivized to get increases on the files so we can get the roof installed properly. And if they're not incentivized, why do it anyways? The project manager is incentivized to get all the proper documentation to the billing department, and the billing department can then move on and get the file to the finish line.
You're basically creating like a kind of a structured way to where everybody wins if things get accomplished right away. That's kind of like the way to look at it.
100%. Yeah. In order for me to win, I need you in the billing department. But in order for the billing department to win, they need the information from me so they can win on the back end. We do company trips, we do bonuses, we just do a lot of things. It's definitely sales driven, more towards the sales department, but we don't neglect the office in any way, shape, or form. That's the real true driving force behind a lot of companies, is the office, and I believe that people forget that.
Let's talk about recruiting, which is one of the main things that you've used to grow. You've been intentional about hiring people that obviously a lot of people overlook. What do you look for in a candidate that a lot of contractors miss?
I like to hire second chance people that were previously incarcerated, people that I spent a lot of time in prison with, people that I see value in. Maybe they don't see it in themselves. People I see that have leadership skills and they don't even know what leadership means. People that hold themselves accountable. For me, I get more joy understanding that I changed the course or the trajectory of somebody's life, and now they can be a good father. They don't have to go back to prison. They don't have to go back to county jail. They can be a tax contributor. They can purchase their first home for a time. That brings me joy. Going out to the gym and hiring a guy that has a massive ego and thinks that the world runs on biceps, and it can't tell him anything, and I'm not a fan of those. Very difficult time telling them anything or having them learn stuff. I am a fan of people that are just looking for a chance, or maybe they're not looking for a chance and I want to give them a chance. I'm a fan of building people from the ground up that sometimes they have low self-esteem, or sometimes they don't. But I want to develop them into something, not just door-to-door sales, but take the venture with them to create a life with and for them that they can be proud of and say, I came from nothing. I think those stories are a lot more powerful, and they impact the community a lot more than grabbing an individual who's had everything handed to them and still, I don't know how to say it politically correct, but and I think they're a lot more grateful. I think they're a lot more patient. I think that they're a lot more willing.
How do you develop those people? So if you hire them, you see something in them, how do you build those people up?
I mean, it's a lot. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of time. It takes a ton of effort. How do you build those people up? How do you help somebody believe in themselves? Is what it is when you put them in the truck and you treat them as a normal human being, and you don't treat them as a downline, and you don't talk down to them, and you don't tell them you're their manager and you need to do what they say. Consistency in that character of being kind and patient and willing and trustworthy and doing what you say you're going to do. I think building that trust is key, because once you do that on a consistent basis, they typically believe in what you say and on the path that you're going to put them on. Guys coming from prison, it's not easy. They've destroyed their lives time and time again. They've made terrible decisions. They have, their self-esteem is shot, whether they want to believe it or not. They're running on false pride, and it's like, let's bring you out here and rebuild you from the ground up. It's difficult to take a guy from somebody that has been, somebody that's been in the workforce or the work field, and they've lived their life, and they're 30, 35 years old, and they already have the thought process of, I know what I'm doing, I know what I want, I know what I need to do, as opposed to, I don't know anything, and teach me. It's probably the hardest thing that myself and a lot of the managers have gone through in their life, but it's the most character development that any of us have seen in our lifetime.
Can you share a story of besides yourself of someone that went through that same trial where they came in, second chance, and they eventually made it to where they are now?
A ton. I could share a ton of stories. I could go down the list. Sean Powell, Matt Langford, they're the owners of Valor Contracting now. Adam Mills, Landon Harris, they're the owners of Skylux now. Justin Frakes, Aiden Lattin, Drew Nyertz, Matthew Tangy, and Kyle Cummings, just a ton of guys, multi-million-dollar producers, all the potential in the world. We just got to show them and steer them in the correct paths and get them on that horse to develop that belief inside them of what they can do. I think Drew Nyertz would be a perfect example. We were Sellies, and he's my top manager, runs a sales team about $15 million a year. And when he came onto the wildland firefighting crew, he was absolutely defiant. You couldn't tell him anything. He knew everything. Very just closed off, wanted to fight everybody all the time. Couldn't take orders from leadership. And little by little, he kept getting knocked off. He kept learning tough lessons. And pretty soon those tough lessons, he didn't want to learn them anymore. And he submitted and said, hey, I have a problem. I'm the problem. And we worked on it. And it took the whole crew and it took the whole team. And it took Drew ultimately. And Drew built himself up and became one of the most caring and kind and respected individuals on that crew and on that prison yard. He came out to work with us and he was on fire. He sold $2 million his first year, sold $2 million his second year. But he was about 6-7 months into his first year, and we said, hey, we're going to build a team around you. And he started building a team, and he was trying to sell, and busy doing his own thing and didn't really understand how to manage and wanted to give up several times. We talked about it and talked him off the ledge. And today he's, this is 3 years into it, and he is, he's all over social media now. He's got a massive team. He's been on several podcasts talking about, and he's gone through the hardships, and he purchased his first home. And he is just the epitome of coming from the bottom and being defiant and building his character up and running a massive sales team, and being a leader and developing other leaders in the community. So I think when I look at all these guys, he would probably be the biggest success story, where everyone said he's going to fail, he's going to lose his team because of his attitude and his temperament, he's not going to be able to do it, he's only going to be a self-producer. And he changed the minds of everybody, and he is today just one of the most respected people in the community. So
it's amazing. And he has a team around him. He's doing, you said, for about 15 million in sales, just himself, just his team.
Yeah, and his background similar to mine. He comes from foster care. He comes from institutions. He's been locked up in 8 different, maybe 12 different states around. He got kicked out of Utah. He's got tattoos all over himself. And now he's the guy that's reaching back out and donating time and donating food and donating money to charities and just doing anything he can to demonstrate that leadership in his own life and in other people's lives. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. You said leadership isn't built behind the desk. Why is staying so close to the field so important as a company scales?
You have to know what's going on. You got to be out there with the guys. And as guys they're coming up, I see so many people do a meeting once a week or do, praises from a computer just doesn't work. Guys want to see you show up. Guys want to see you out in the field. Guys want to know that you're in the trenches with them. Guys want to know that you'll show up on their jobs and help them when they need help. Guys want to know that you're available and that you're there. And when you're not, why do it as a team? Why preach culture? Why do that stuff? And that's where the AI and all the instituting of programming and do this, the steps of the 10-step processes of, well, get on your AccuLinks and then do this and then do that, and then you're engulfed in your computer and all day long. And it's as a sales rep in the field on your own all day long, it gets lonely. It gets miserable. You know, you can only be so much monotony. And when you have people around you to celebrate celebrate the successes, you know, hold each other up and accountable to the losses. When you're running as an organized team like that, you're doing it together. You're doing it as a unit. We win as a unit and we fail as a unit. We don't always win. We don't always succeed. But whatever it is that we are doing, we're doing it together. And that's the most important thing.
So you said that obviously it took you a while to get rocking and rolling, 5 months to make a sale.
I had gotten contracts previous to that, but 5 months to get paid. And then I went negative on those jobs.
Okay. Obviously it took a while. So what is it that you look for someone that is starting, you know, in the same route, that is trying out and trying to do, you know, trying to make some sales, but they don't have success. But do you keep giving them a chances? Do you keep training them? Like how, you know, what is your choice to use, or you just cut them off after a month? Like, I know for you it took you a while, but like, because most companies sometimes they just cut you off after 30 days or whatever. Like, how does that look like inside of somebody's, you know, trying, or what do you look for to make changes? What is the criteria you do to actually this person's not going to work out?
A phone call will tell you everything. You call a guy, hey, what are you up to? Where are you at? Well, I'm at home. I'm at the doctor's office. Oh, I needed to run this appointment. I'm with my family. You know, there's only so many of those that you can take, right? But the point is to get away from the struggle. Most guys say, I want out of my $22 an hour job. I want out of my $30 an hour job. I want out of my $18 an hour job. Okay, well, it takes discipline, it takes motivation, it takes action to do that. And if you're not on the doors consistently and you're complaining about, oh, this isn't working, and oh, I can't make a sale. Well, of course you can't. You're not on the doors consistently. But we have a ton of guys that are on the doors consistently that can't make a sale. And it's like, okay, well, let's get out here with you. You know, you've probably already had a 2-week or 3-week training platform with your manager. Let's see where you're going wrong. Let's see where we can fine tune a couple things at the door with you. Because if you're willing to work and you're willing to put one foot in front of the other, we're willing to go as long as we need to go with you. We're willing to finance, we're willing to fund your operation, which means, maybe paying for your mortgage payment for a few months. Maybe, Christmas just went around. I think we spend a lot of money on people that just haven't gotten it yet, that are trying to get it. Anything that we can possibly do, the gas money, the food, the groceries, whatever you want. If you continue to stick with it, we will walk right by your side. The financial burden doesn't matter. Like, we are willing to take that on as long as you are willing to work. But if you're not out there knocking doors and it's been a couple months and, we've had a few conversations like, hey, we can't do this anymore.
The number one criteria you look for is hard work, right? And just action. If they have action, you're willing them to work with them until whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
That's amazing. That's unusual, right? Unusual, I think, in this space. A lot of times it's just results driven. And if you're not making the results, then even if you're taking action, a lot of times it doesn't work out. Right. So that's an amazing structure that you have, that you're actually believing in people enough and to give them the opportunity. And now I'm sure that you've had people that in the beginning, the first few months didn't work out, but they kept trying, and eventually they got it. And they succeeded, right? So that's like, you're an example, but others as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's been guys that it took 8, 9, 10 months. And it was like, we're just waiting for the light bulb to click on. Because why give up on somebody that's trying? It's very easy to say, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste my energy or my effort on this person. It's like, why not? They're wasting theirs. They're giving it everything that they have. They just don't get it yet. And I think that a lot of that comes with the struggle that I had, where I just don't like to give up on people, because once the light bulb clicked, obviously, once the light bulb clicks and the work ethic is there, you're unstoppable. You are just unstoppable. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah. Let's talk about private equity, right? So Pro West grew quickly under private equity. What was the biggest challenge in scaling sales while still protecting the culture?
I love our One Solutions, is our PE. We're held by Peterson Partners. which holds the holding company is One Solutions, which is interstate roofing all over the country. Pro West Roofing, Danny Boys Roofing, 5 stars. Previously A1 that was turned into Interstate. I absolutely love them. They are always there. They love new insight. They like to take chances. They like to take risks if there's a good idea. But more so, they believed in Bob Schober, actually, one of the owners of Pro West, believed in the movement of the second chance individuals. And we have created a prison platform that guys get a 12-part training course. They learn how to do sales. They learn how to do rebuttals. They learn about roofing components, and they take it's like a 3-hour class on their tablet. And once they complete that, we sponsor a program called Hustle 2.0 for them. They get to take the Hustle 2.0, which is transforming your old hustle into a new one, a legit one. And they fill and submit a form. And when they get released, we give them an opportunity at One Solutions, depending on what state they're in, and they go down to the general managers there. But as far as private equity, I hear a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. Some private equity groups, guys that say, I hate my private equity group, and man, they're so strict, and we have to do exactly what they say. One Solution, Sean Ricks, big shout out to Sean Ricks, is always willing to invest on a chance, is always willing to listen and come up with new strategies and new plays. So the funding coming from private equity obviously gives us an opportunity to branch out throughout 22 different states. They're doing a lot of cool things. So I couldn't be more grateful for private equity. I think that it's absolutely amazing, at least in the One Solution space. I have no complaints with private equity.
Okay, so you said you mentioned you recently hired 22 people. How did do you have like a recruiting team on staff that actually recruits these people, like an entire like marketing system? How did you hire those people? Where did you find them?
Pro West Interstate does. For our team specifically, we all do it in-house. So we have Kyle Cummings, Matthew Tangy, Floyd Baxter, myself, Andrew Sentner. We have Derek War. We have just a ton of guys, and I'm probably missing some guys' names, that are always getting hit up from people. Sometimes it's people from out of state. Sometimes it's people from in-state. A lot of times it's guys coming from Arizona Department of Corrections that heard about us or took the program. And they're just always looking and wanting an opportunity. So social media is huge. We're always putting everything out on social media that we do, letting people know how we're living, second chance opportunities out here. Come be a part of the community. Come build with us. Let us build you up. And that's huge, especially for guys coming from prison, because they come out and they don't know what they're going to do. They're going to go live at a halfway house, possibly get a job, possibly not. The transition coming home from prison can be very difficult. So creating that community, creating that culture that people want to be a part of, and then the rest just takes care of itself.
Let's talk about you have a channel, right? That is interviewing different second chance people that came from prison and giving them a second chance. Can you talk more about your channel that you've been doing the last few years, last year?
Yeah, we started a YouTube channel called Redemption Blueprint, and we kind of like to highlight people's success stories of coming from nothing and building themselves up into something, purchasing their first homes, which I talk about a lot, which just wasn't in the cards for us. It was so far beyond our belief that it's very powerful to watch guys that are leading in the community, taking care of other people coming from incarceration, building up sales teams, getting married, it kept happening over this 4-year period. It's like, we have to start documenting some of these things. We have to start putting people on YouTube. And, if it doesn't, we got 47,000 subscribers in the first year. And if it doesn't, it's not for really recruiting purposes. It's not for training purposes. It's just to highlight people's second chance success stories, like Raymond Wendell Little. We got him on there, and it's a huge success story. Multiple prison sentences, got out, started a company, Perimeter Roofing, and sold to PE, and just amazing things like that. But I think there's a lot of things going on in the industry that people don't like to talk about, or maybe it's forbidden to talk about, or it was a few years ago. And second chance guys are really starting to take a hold of the space and saying we can do this too. And I would be willing to bet on a second chance guy before I would bet on a gentleman that has never been in trouble before. They're hungry. They want it. They're grinders. This is the last stop for them. And they want to be a part of it, and they have something to prove, and they have something to achieve, and they want to be a part of. And that's very important. So we try to highlight that stuff. It's Redemption Blueprint. And we get to show what life looks like now as opposed to what it looked like when we were, making a lot of bad decisions for ourselves.
Their back is against the wall, basically. So that's kind of the way to look at it. Yeah. What's one belief in sales or leadership that you had to unlearn to get where you are today?
I'm not the best. I don't know everything. I don't always have to have the right answer. I don't have to be the loudest in the room. I don't have to be the leaderboard. I want to strive to be on the leaderboard. I want to strive to have the largest sales team. I want to do that. And if I don't, that's okay too. I want to know all the roofing systems. I want to know about EPDM and TPO and built up and foam. I want to know about Sandcast and Da Vinci, and I want to know about all these things. And if I don't know, it's okay because I'll learn it somewhere down the road. I don't always have to have the correct answer. I just need to be willing to show up to try to learn it. I need to be willing to show up to understand it. It goes back to that action word. Where's that? Action, action, action. Show up again, show up again, show up again. Show up to all the trainings. Show up to all your jobs. Show up every day for work. Wake up early in the morning and do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, discipline, you said discipline is more important than actual systems.
Discipline.
Yeah. Adam, it was an amazing talking to you. Where do people find you?
Oh, man. You can find me on Instagram, Adam Tronnier, Tronnier. You can find me on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Redemption Blueprint channel. If you watch the journey, I haven't posted in the last couple months. I've been taking a lot of time with the family because I've just been running for 5 straight years. But I'll get back to it this year. You can find me traveling to different states, run around with our different sales teams all over the place. I'm the national sales director for One Solutions. Reach out, say hello. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any tips, tricks, anything that I can help in your adventure. I would love to help. I typically don't reach out to guys from other companies. I'm not asking if you want to come work for us. I'm not that kind of recruiter, but I do love connecting with other people. I love connecting with other companies. I love connecting with other teams and learning from them and them also learning from us. So I love the community, man. I think that we should all be bonded. We should all know each other. And yeah, if you want to find me, check me out on Instagram. Check me out on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to have the link in the show notes to Redemption Blueprint, your YouTube channel. So anyone check out that channel. It's amazing. It's amazing growth so far. It's 47,000 growth in 1 year. It's amazing. And it's just highlighting, I think, the positive contribution these guys are making. It's really, really good, man. It's really inspiring, honestly. Adam, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Until next time, sir.
All right.
Thanks for listening to AI and Marketing for Home Service Pros. If you got value from today's episode, do us a favor. Follow the show, share it with a contractor friend, and leave a quick review. Want help using AI or smarter marketing to grow your business? Head to contractormarketingpros.net and book your free strategy call.